I flew them all to her. Why they booked me in a motel an hour away just because you paid doesn't mean we want you around, my brother joked. I didn't argue, just smiled, and left something in the hotel safe. When they found it, they started screaming. It was supposed to be the trip that changed everything. For the first time in years, I'd planned a real family vacation, not a rushed long weekend at my apartment, not a chaotic Thanksgiving where everyone yelled about politics, a real slow golden sunset memory making kind of trip. I spent 11 months planning it, no exaggeration. I created folders, I made spreadsheets, I researched group rates and credit card points. I compared resort ranked beaches by accessibility and kid-friendliness and cross-checked weather trends for the shoulder season. I even paid a travel agent a small consultation fee to make sure I wasn't getting scammed, because I wanted this to be perfect, and not just for me, for them. From my mom Jill, who hadn't had a your vacation in over a decade. For Rick, my stepdad, who worked overtime shifts, said the auto shop, and talked about Hawaii like it was some mythical place he'd never see. For Brandon, my younger brother, and his wife Haley, who always seemed stressed and exhausted but still showed up for Christmas even when money was tight. And for Erin, my cousin, and her little boy Liam, he'd never been on a plane before. I wanted him to see the ocean. I'd been the boring one my whole life. Responsible Nathan, quite Nathan, the one who showed up with jumper cables and remembered everyone's birthdays. But maybe, just maybe, this trip would be the moment they look at me and see something more, someone they were proud of. I wasn't rich, far from it. I work in IT support and live in a modest apartment. I budgeted for this trip the way some people plan for a wedding, cancelled other plans, said no to upgrades at the dentist, skipped birthdays, declined dates. I've been working toward a single week in Hawaii like it was the finish line to erase. No one else knew I was running. So when we landed and walked out into the humid premiere you-centered air, my heart was for I even took a deep breath and thought, this is it. We got our lays. We took the awkward group photo. I paid the shuttle driver a tip in advance to help with the bags. Everyone was smiling, even Brand, and seemed real. Last for once, making Liam laugh with bad pirate impressions. When we pulled up to the resort, it looked exactly like the pictures, maybe better. White columns, green palm, swaying the kind of soft golden light that makes everything look like a travel ad. I stepped up to the check-in desk, excited to surprise everyone with how well I'd pay. Landed the rooms were ocean-facing. I'd arranged welcome baskets with local snacks and reef-safe sunscreen. I had even pre-booked the beach dinner for the third night. The receptionist smiled politely, named Nathan Fielding. I booked the Fielding family group. She typed, scanned the screen, frowned from. I see the group booking here, but your name isn't on the room list. You're in a separate reservation, Royal Sands Motel. My smile faltered. No, that's not right. I booked everything under my name. She tilted the screen slightly, showing me the breakdown. The names were all there: Jill, Rick, Brand, Haley, Aaron, Liam, but not mine. I looked up confused. That's when Brand and walked over, holding to room keys like he owned the place. Oh yeah, he said, we moved your spot to a quieter place up the road. Figured you'd want your space. I laughed, and sure, if it was a joke, wait. What? Haley joined him, sunglasses already on. It's better that way. Isn't it the motel super close? Just an hour. I blinked. Why would I stay in a motel? Brandon shrugged. Look, just because you paid doesn't mean we want you around the whole time. He said it like it was funny, like we were still at baggage claim and he was teasing me about my carry-on. Haley chuckled. Come on, don't be weird about it. It would, right? Of course. Jill finally stepped in, arms crossed like she was bracing for drama. Honey, it's no big deal. There just wasn't room for everyone, and Erin really wanted to stay with us. Plus you like quiet, don't you? You've always been independent, the polite word for unwanted. Rick mumbled something like you'll be more comfortable there anyway, without looking at me. And I stood there in that cool, expensive lobby holding my suitcase, realizing they all made the decision together behind my back after I paid for everything. I could have fought it. I could have said, actually no, I booked this, I deserve to be here. But the words caught in my throat. My heart was pounding in my ears, and my face felt hot. Instead, I nodded. Sure, I said, sounds peaceful. I took the new address from the front desk and rolled my suitcase out through the side door, past the valet, and the bellhop, and the manicured hibiscus bushes. The Uber driver gave me a look when I told him where to go. That place, you sure? I smiled like it didn't matter. Yeah, I'm sure. The motel was, well, it had a roof, I'll give it that. The room smelled like air freshener and unresolved crime. The beach access was technically accurate if you didn't mind crossing to roads and a parking lot to get to the strip of sand. The bedspread had a strange, sticky texture. I didn't care to investigate. The only view was a rusty vending machine and a faded sign with half the bulbs out. Royal Sand, stay a while. I sat on the edge of the bed, suitcase still closed, and stared at the wall for a long time. I kept waiting for someone to call to say they'd made a mistake, to laugh and say, gotcha, you're actually staying with us, come back. Nothing. I thought about the tiny gift side packed for everyone, Hawaiian-themed puzzles for Liam, a set of local team from on a water-safe phone case Brandon had mentioned wanting. They were still zipped in my carry-on, neatly wrapped. I'd imagine handing them out the first night. Everyone pleasantly surprised, laughing over drinks by the pool. Instead, I was alone listening to a couple argue in the next room over whether or not the baby looked more like her ex. I showered with my flip-flops on. I couldn't bring myself to unpack. The next morning, I got up early and caught another Uber back to the resort, hoping God knows why that the mood had shifted. Maybe they'd had time to realize how wrong it all was. Maybe today they remember who booked this trip. Maybe I get a seat at the table. They were already having breakfast when I got there, laughing, relaxed. Brandon was wearing a loud Hawaiian shirt and telling a story I'd heard him borrow from me years ago. Haley had her sunglasses perched on her head like a crown jewel, was holding Liam. I'm in, feeding him bites of fresh mango. No one noticed me walk up. Hey, I said, trying to sound breezy. Morning. Jill smiled vaguely. Oh, Nathan, we didn't know you were coming. I figured I'd catch up with you all. I said, what's the plan today? Rick glanced at Brandon. We're thinking of hitting the beach, maybe the high. Like later. I nodded. Should I meet you somewhere? Haley tilted her head. Oh, well, we thought you wanted your own thing. I paid for the group's snorkeling tour, I reminded them quietly. It's up to right, Brandon said, chewing. We might just skip that. Aaron wants to take Liam to the aquarium instead. I opened my mouth to say something, but what, that I'd spent hours booking things tailored to them, that I knew Rick hated boats, but agreed to go because Jill was excited, that I had laminated itineraries printed for everyone still tucked in my backpack like an idiot. Instead, I said, cool, whatever works. There was no room at the table. Haley gestured toward the pool bar and said, they've got great coffee if you want to grab something. I nodded again, then I walked away before anyone could say another word. Not that they would have. They were already peeling off toward the beach, towels over shoulders, sunglasses on, like I didn't exist. But instead of heading toward the pool bar or the shuttle stop, I took a quiet left turn into the resort lobby. The air conditioning hit me like a wave. While it was almost too cold after the heat outside, but it helped. It cleared my head. I stepped up to the reception desk. The same woman from check-in was there. She looked surprised to see me again. Can I leave something in the hotel safe? I asked. Of course. Would you like to set up a pickup code? No, I said, just lay a bullet for the Fielding family. If I don't show up to breakfast tomorrow, please give it to them. She paused, but didn't ask questions, just handed me a security envelope and loved the request. I sealed it, handed it over, and thanked her politely. Outside, I paused near a palm tree and watched my family from a distance. Brandon trying to teach Liam how to do a handstand in the sand. Joe was posing for a photo with Rec. Haley was sipping from a coconut like a movie extra. They didn't even glance in my direction, but I wasn't waiting for their attention anymore. They had no idea what I'd already done, no idea that back at the motel after their little joke I'd logged into every booking account I had and started quietly and doing everything: the inter-island flights, the excursions, the hotel extensions, the catamaran tour. Brandon wouldn't shut up about all of it. Gone. And now tucked inside the hotel safe was something that would make sure they understood exactly what they've thrown away. I didn't know what would hit her. Order the cancellations were the words I left with them, but I could already picture the moment they opened it, the silence, the dawning confusion, and then the screaming. Let them enjoy their sunrise. It was the last free thing they get from me. It wasn't just about why. That's the thing people don't get when they hear stories like this. It never starts with a vacation or a hotel room. It starts years earlier, in the quiet moments where you realize you're not the favorite, not the funny one, not the golden child. Just the one who's useful. I was 8 the first time I felt it. That had accidentally knocked over my Lego tower, a really complicated one I'd spent a week building. He laughed, said it was stupid, and walked away. When I told Mom, she barely looked up from the dishes. Don't be dramatic, Nathan. He's younger than you. Just build another one. That was the template. Brandon breaks it. I rebuild it. You forget some thing. I remember it. He spends too much. I quietly pay the bill. And every time I ask for even the smallest acknowledgement, I got a pat on the shoulder and a reminder to be the bigger person. So I became the bigger person. When Dad left, I stepped up. I helped Rick move in. When Mom remarried, I made flashcards with Brandon for his algebra final. I let him borrow my car. I covered the Uber bill that night. He got blackout drunk and couldn't find his wallet. I didn't complain, not once, because I honestly believe that's what family did. And I think in some small way, I thought if I kept doing the right thing, they'd eventually see me, like really see me, not just a helpful brother now. Not just the polite son who remembers birthdays and sent thank you cards, but someone they were proud of. But every time I brought up something I wanted to do, moving out of state, traveling, maybe switching careers, it was always the same look for Mom: worry and confusion. Like I just told her I wanted to become a magician, but who would help with brand? And if something came up, what about your sister-in-law's doctor's appointment? You promised to drive her. You're the stable one. You're not like Brandon. He's sensitive. Sensitive, that was the word. They used to excuse everything when he yelled at me for forgetting to pack his charger for a weekend trip. Sensitive when he ghosted Haley for 2 weeks early in their really shine ship, and I had to lie to her face about why he wasn't texting back. Sensitive when he crashed his car after leaving a bar and called me instead of the police. Sensitive, but me, I was solid. Iraq. Nathan, he always handles things. The truth is, I didn't mind helping. Not at first. I like being dependable. I like being the guy people trust. But it started to chip away at me when I realized it wasn't love holding that structure together. It was expectation, obligation, guilt. Like when I paid for Erin's moving truck after her ex left, and she cried saying I was the only one who'd been there for her. Then she didn't invite me to her son's birthday because there weren't enough chairs, or when Mom called me in the middle of a work meeting because she needed help disputing a medical bill, then forgot to call back from my birthday a week later, or when Brandon said he was proud of me for once the day I got promoted, then asked if I could lend him rent money. In the same breath, the Hawaii trip wasn't just about giving them something nice. It was a tester question I wasn't brave enough to ask out loud. If I gave them everything, would they finally treat me like I mattered? And now I had my answer. When I got back to the motel after breakfast that second day, I sat on the end of the bed and stared at the receipt for the Royal Sands motel. I had paid for that too. Of course, it wasn't part of the original plan, but I'd picked up the cost when I was redirected there. Why wouldn't I? That's what I do. I stared at the $186.72 and felt the kind of quiet fury that doesn't show on your face. It just settles deep into your bones. That's when I opened my laptop, logged in, pulled up the travel itinerary. I knew better than my own work calendar. I cancelled the snorkeling tour, cancelled the inter-island flights to Maui, cancelled the helicopter ride Mom had said was too much but secretly bragged about to her church group, cancelled the rental car I'd reserved for Brandon and Haley's day trip. Then I logged into my email and removed every saved traveler profile except my own. I sent a short message to the resort's billing office requesting my card be removed from the account for any future incidentals. It felt like shutting off switches in a house I no longer lived in. Later that night, I walked past the resort again, not to spy, just to see if I could feel anything: anger, regret, jealousy. Instead, I felt clarity. They were sitting by the pool, laughing, drinking. Brandon was holding court, of course, telling a story that may or may not have actually happened. Jill was wrapped in a shawl, Rick's arm around her shoulder, both of them glowing in the soft light. I could have been in that photo. But I wasn't. I stood there for a moment, invisible just like always. Then I turned and walked back toward the road, not back to the motel. Not just yet. I wasn't done. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to let them walk right into it. Let them sit there, cocktails, and plan their perfect day. Let them think I was still licking my wounds in a budget motel. With they didn't know was that the rug was already gone beneath their feet. And when they opened that envelope, I hoped the screaming would be loud enough to reach the shoreline. The first message came in at 9:12 a.m. the next day. Hey Nathan, are you around? We're not seeing your name on the catamaran manifest. Did you cancel the tour? It was from Aaron, polite, confused, still hopeful that maybe this was just a mix-up. I didn't respond. At 9:24 Brandon called. I watched the screen light up once, twice, declined. At 9:28 a group text lit up. Brandon bro, did you cancel a helicopter ride? I put the phone face down on the nightstand and poured myself another cup of motel coffee. Burnt bitter, perfect. I imagine the moment they open the envelope, the resorts F would have handed it over sometime after breakfast, just like I asked. Someone probably shrugged, said weird, maybe he left a thank you note, and ripped it open without thinking. And then the video would start, just me sitting on the motel bed frame, neatly calm as ever. If you're watching this, you already know something's wrong. The rest of your trip has been cancelled. Flights, excursions, hotel extensions, all gone. Charges removed, plans erased. Before you ask why, let me save you the time. You booked me in a motel an hour away because you didn't want me around. You made jokes about how I paid, but wasn't part of the family. You thought I'd stay quiet like I always do. But not this time. Enjoy the rest of your stay on your own dime. Don't worry, I left the sunrise. It's the only thing here that's free. Cut to black. No yelling, no accusations, just a polite nuclear bomb. By 10 or 1 and my phone had 14 missed calls, 3 voicemails, and one absolutely unhinged wall of text from Brandon. Brandon, this isn't funny. Brandon, you're being a psycho. Brandon, grow up. Brandon, you embarrass mom. Brandon, you ruined the whole trip for everyone. What the hell is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Let's see. 10 years of unpaid emotion, no labor, 5 years of financial handouts, and 1 Hawaii trip where I was dumped in a roadside motel like luggage they didn't want to bring inside. Yeah, I guess I snapped. By 10:34 Joe called. I didn't answer, but I played the voicemail later. Her voice was trembling. Nathan, sweetheart, I don't know what happened. I thought you were happy to have your own space. We didn't mean to make you feel left out. Can we please talk? You're scaring me. I almost laughed at that part, scaring her. I'd been ghosted, gaslit, and guilt-tripped by these people my entire life. But now she was scared because I'd finally stopped smiling through it. Rick texted shortly after. Rick, come on man, let's be reasonable. You didn't have to go nuclear. That's rich coming from the guy who stood next to his wife while she pretended I didn't exist at breakfast. Around noon things escalated. The resort billing office emailed me to confirm that my card had been removed, and the family had been notified the rest of the charges, as would now be billed directly to their rooms if they could provide valid payment, which according to another message I got from Aaron was a problem. Aaron, why would you do this? None of us brought extra cards because you said you covered everything. Liam is crying. We can't even go to the aquarium today. I didn't respond, but I did laugh. Then I checked the comments on Brandon's Instagram post from the night before, the one with him shirtless on the beach, caption vacation mode on. Someone had commented, bro didn't even pay for his own hotel. LMAO. Another, imagine being so trash your brother cancels your trip midweek. Apparently someone at the resort, it may be a staff member, maybe a guest, had shared the story on mine, a short TikTok title. When the family freeloader finally gets cut off, it was already blowing up by evening. The texts had taken a sharp turn from outrage to desperation. Haley were locked out of the second room. They said the card was declined. Jill, Nathan, please, we didn't think it would hurt you like this. Rick, come back and talk to us. We can fix this. Brandon, you're dead to me. Brandon, seriously, no one wants you in this family anymore. Brandon, this is why you're alone. It was the last card in the deck. You're alone. On, as if I didn't already know, as if I hadn't felt that every time they laughed without me, planned without me, lived like I was a background character in their main story. But here's the thing Brandon never understood: I might be alone, but I wasn't lonely, not anymore. Because loneliness is sitting across from your own mother, while she thanks your brother for bringing everyone together, even though you booked the entire trip. Loneliness is realizing no one thought to save you a seat at breakfast. No one even noticed you weren't there. Solitude is peace. I flew out that night, window seat, no one beside me. I ordered a drink and watched the islands disappear below me, the gold and beautiful in the dying light. They were still there somewhere, scrambling to figure out who would foot the bill, still yelling, still pointing fingers, still wondering how things had gone so wrong. And the best part, they didn't even know it yet. But this wasn't just a vacation ruined, it was the end of the old arrangement. No more quiet support, no more monthly transfers, no more co-signing loans.